Hello everybody and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. It's Corey and I'm joined by Craig from the Anfield Agenda to discuss Liverpool's 3-1 win over West Ham. I'm absolutely gutted. I mean, I'm not trying to be too despondent about things, mate. We did win 6 on a row, so it is a little bit of a comeback down to earth moment. But just your thoughts on Liverpool's performance, generally speaking?
Yeah, I was a bit frustrated in the first 45, Corey, if I'm being honest with you. I thought it was a similar pattern of us moving the ball side to side, getting into promising areas and then turning back, going backwards. And I thought we made it too easy for you guys to defend. And second half was a lot different. But yeah, I wasn't very happy with the first 45. I think we had one strike on target that Fabianski saved in the first half.
Yeah, I actually thought we did well defensively, to be honest. I think you can never go out and try and press Liverpool too much. And we didn't see West Ham. I think for maybe a 5-minute spell, West Ham managed to get into your final third and Fornals had a chance on goal. And I thought, okay, I understand West Ham's tactic in this game. But it was interesting because you had the likes of James Milner trying to get in beyond at times. And we were restricting Liverpool to those long balls, particularly from the likes of Thiago. And I felt comfortable at that stage. But obviously, you went up that second gear in that second half. And I guess quality told in the end.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it was very interesting to see Thiago be able to be a bit more on the front foot and be a little bit further forward than he has been. He's been playing the 6 role quite a lot. And it was like Gini and Milner were kind of rotating back and allowing him to get on the front foot. But I thought the real turning point in the game actually came when Curtis Jones came on. I thought he absolutely gave us a different dimension. I think one of his first touches was actually setting Salah up for the goal. Yeah. I thought he was brilliant when he came on, Curtis Jones. And to have Nat Phillips as well come in from the cold. He was supposed to be gone in the summer. Swansea and Bristol he was linked to. He's a right, proper, old-school centre-half, isn't he? He just sticks his head in and puts his body on the line. And it was a game I was nervous about, Corey, all week. I'm not going to lie. As you said, cracking form. You guys absolutely flying. You're at home. And I was worried. I was worried that, okay, we put in a performance against Spurs. And as you said before we started, Spurs never really showed up. That was almost too easy. And today we had a good talk about tactics beforehand, and I understand where you're coming from. It is difficult to, what do? Do you go head-to-head with Liverpool, or do you sit back and try and play on the counter? So I think Klopp got it right at halftime. The changes, the little tweaks that he made, I think made all the difference.
Yeah, Curtis Jones was the turning point. When he come on first touch, took us out of position a little bit. He's obviously got that athleticism about him, and obviously Salah got that goal, and it was a fantastic finish. I think for me, I've just done my post-match. It's hard to fault West Ham defensively in terms of that goal. It was just Salah coming into his left foot. Superb finish. The second goal was interesting because we made that change to bring on Yarmolenko, and we kept Bowen on the pitch and we put Ben Rama on the left-hand side. And I think Moyes wanted to try and exploit Trent a little bit more. We didn't really get down that left too much with Fornals. It didn't work. We did get a corner, and then the transition from you on the counter is frightening. I think you had about 3 touches to get that goal. I mean, I suppose from you, it's an encouraging sign. Do you feel that Liverpool, particularly this season, with the 6 points you've got from the 2 games, are going to go into the ascendancy and start to develop a bit of momentum?
Look, if I'm being perfectly honest, I see Manchester City as the title favourites. If I'm being really honest about it, I mean, we've pulled ourselves back into contention. Some results have gone our way, and we've got a couple of wins. But just talking about that transition you spoke about from the corner for a second, we're at our best when play is broken up. That's when we create most of our chances. So we often, and I think we've done you guys in a couple of games from defending corners and breaking on the counter attack. Yeah. And when teams are able to get back into position like you were in the first half, get your 2 banks of 4, we struggle to break teams down. But if we can break up play, if we can win the ball back further up the pitch, we thrive in madness. I think that's the way Klopp describes it. So when we come up against a very rigid team, unless we score early, we can be in trouble at times. But that was just a beautiful break. Robbo to Trent. Trent flicked it out left-hand side to Shaqiri. But the moment of it all for me was the first touch from Salah on his right foot before he slotted it past Fabianski. It was magnificent, mate. It was one of my favourite goals in a while, I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm trying not to be too down on West Ham. We've obviously had a good run of form, but I think in this game you showed a number of different goals and the way that you can break teams down. I think we did well in terms of dealing with that ball over the top in the first half, but transition, like you say, you're absolutely frightening, and Salah's finishing at times is unbelievable. Obviously, the game was a little bit killed off before you just got to that third goal. You brought on Firmino, you brought on Oxlade-Chamberlain. Thoughts on the goal? It is an impressive goal. You pulled us out of position. Is this Liverpool side getting back into form now? I know you struggled to get goals before the Spurs game. Do you feel like you are now getting into that type of form where you can go and beat teams by 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah, what's weird about it has been defensively, we haven't actually been that bad. I think the problem lies, and you touched on this earlier on, when you're putting Henderson back into the centre-back role, you're losing an awful lot. And I felt really sorry for Thiago because he came into our side at exactly the wrong time. He doesn't have Fabinho beside him. He doesn't have Henderson beside him. Those players who would probably allow him to push on a bit. So I think if we can, and look, the window's closing in, just over 24 hours. If we can do something there, we'll wait and see. But to get Joe Matip's too injury prone. He's unreliable. Very good defender. Joe Gomez and Van Dijk we know are out. It's very difficult for Liverpool right now to gauge because we're losing so many options in midfield. I think that Thiago was brought in to link up the midfield and the attack, and he's not been able to do that so much because Henderson's had to drop back deep. The problem has been scoring, and that's been right. Mane picking up a little injury wasn't great. I didn't like to hear that before the game today. But we are starting to get players back. Diogo Jota's not too far away. We've seen Trent starting to return to the form that we all know and love from him as well. And hopefully Bobby Firmino even looks like he's getting a bit more confident. So fingers crossed, we're starting to put our foot to the pedal a bit more.
I think that was the frustrating thing, and I covered it in my preview. I think Trent at times this season has been done defensively, and I think he's not ever been a fantastic defender. Going forward, he's unbelievable. We know his technical ability is superb, particularly from delivery. So from my perspective, it was a bit frustrating that we didn't go and press that side enough. But then to go and press Liverpool, you have to press your entire back line up. So it was sort of asking questions of West Ham. And when Firmino comes on and he picks up those pockets of space, it's difficult as to whether to go or press. And like you touched on with Thiago, I think, yes, of course, he's a fantastic pivot when he plays there. But equally, the way he used him against Spurs and the way he used him against West Ham in a more advanced role, you see more of his vision and his link-up play. But more importantly, the fact that he's so press-resistant that he can keep the ball. And I think Liverpool are a much better side technically with him in that midfield.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the first time, and I'm supporting the club 32 years, this is the first time I can remember Liverpool actually going out and signing an established world-class player. I know that sounds funny. You look at Torres, he was early in his career. Suarez hadn't really done it. He was at Ajax. Van Dijk, coming from Southampton. But when we signed Thiago, we knew we were getting a complete midfielder, somebody at the very peak of his powers. It just happened that the contractual situation worked in our favour. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the season brings with him coming back into form and coming back into hopefully a team that's getting players back from injury. I just want to give a shout out, by the way, to James Milner for the past game and a half. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets the energy from, but the man is a machine. If any young lads out there is wondering how to have a long career, follow Jimmy Milner. He's still winning all the bleep tests of training. The man is a machine. Don't know where he gets that leg from, that energy from. And he's a funny git as well. He's brilliant on social media.
Yeah, no, boring James Milner account. Listen, to be fair to him, some of the runs that he made in that first half, I didn't expect him to have in his locker, and I didn't expect Klopp to ask him to do that role, and yet he does it so well. He's so selfless for the team. I personally would have liked West Ham, particularly with Thomas Souček, to press a bit more on Milner, try and test him a little bit physically. But like we said before we came on, it's that element of, do you sit off Liverpool or do you go and press them? And I think Moyes wanted to sit against Liverpool, soak up a little bit of pressure. There was a few moments in that first half where I thought if Benrahma's ball to Mikel Antonio was a little bit better, I think there was actually a phase of play where Mikel's gone and tried to beat Nat Phillips. If he's a bit more decisive, maybe we get something. Was there any part of you in that first half that thought, West Ham, this could be one of them games that West Ham might nick it?
Yeah, I'd seen the option to play that ball over the top looking for Mikel Antonio. You tried it on a couple of occasions, and between them being overhit on one or two and Alisson being right on the edge of his area, it did worry me because we do defend with a very high line, and that's okay when you've got Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk there, but when you've got Nat Phillips, who, let's be honest, as good as he is for a defensive player, isn't fast, and Henderson wouldn't be known for his pace either. I was very worried that Mikel Antonio was going to get in behind because he's lightning. So I was very happy when those few chances didn't come off, mate. I'm not going to lie.
I was gutted. I did think Fornals at one point might have got that on target and gets that goal, and maybe the game changes slightly. I think you would have been a little bit more risk averse. The press would have been a bit more oppressive than as we saw in that second half. Obviously, the game was a bit dead, let's be honest, when that third goal went in. West Ham made a number of changes. Noble comes on, and we try and rest a few key players. The goal, and I'm going to take a real positive from this, mate, because I feel like Firmino's defending from that was appalling. I feel like he possibly should have cleared it, and Dawson creeps in and gets that consolation. What was your thought of it? Is there any concern going forward in this season about set pieces, or are you comfortable feeling that you can score enough goals to beat teams?
Oh no, I'm absolutely petrified about set pieces. I won't lie to you. For a couple of reasons. One, we're not the tallest of teams with the players that we have at the minute. And that, it was interesting because the corner came in, and I think it was Firmino went for it, which put Nat Phillips off, which meant he missed it. Then the ball falls and it's in the back of the net. And as you said, it was a consolation, but I mean, nothing the keeper could do about it. Good finish on the half volley with the left foot. But yeah, we should have cleared it. And we aren't a tall team. So when you come up against like the likes of Chris Wood, Ashley Barnes, the Burnleys of this world, it does worry me from set pieces. And we seem to somehow have done our best to give Burnley every set piece we could have possibly done recently. Thiago was guilty of giving away too many soft free kicks. And I thought that he was a lot better at winning the ball back today, actually, Thiago. I thought that he showed another facet to his game that I think is often underrated. But yeah, definitely from set pieces, I'm worried.
Yeah, no, I agree with Thiago. Listen, I think he showed for Bayern Munich some of his defensive attributes don't really get pulled up enough because he's such a good technical player and you see him really on the front foot. Listen, it was disappointing from a West Ham perspective, but I guess from your perspective, looking at West Ham, where do you think this team can finish? Because since the last time I spoke to you, we seem to have gone to another level. We're developing a consistency in our game. Do you think West Ham can challenge for those European spots if we don't get injuries?
It's very difficult to rule anybody out. You're looking at Everton now. You're looking at Southampton. You're looking at yourselves. Arsenal, maybe if they put more runs together, although I doubt they will. Absolutely. And Souček, by the way, what a piece of business he's been. And Bowen has come on leaps and bounds. There's a lot of admirers of Souček in a lot of chats and a lot of people I've been speaking to. He looks like a very, very good player. And I think if you can sort out maybe a couple more goals going forward, you've every chance, mate. I mean, I have to give David Moyes credit, and it kills me to do it. But when he came back, and I'll be speaking with Jack Mate actually about this tomorrow, so I'll be looking forward to hearing what he has to say on it. But when he came in, I don't think any West Ham fans were overly happy. But, you got to give the man credit where it's due. He's got you up there. 6 wins in a row. And look, it's no shame losing to a side. We are a very good team, Liverpool, at the end of the day. So I think the next game for you guys, I'm not sure who you're playing next, but it's a big one. If you can get 3 points, then you're right back in the race.
So that's the Villa, mate. So that's a tough one as well. These are 2 tough games back to back, and obviously they got that win last night against Southampton. I'd have to agree. I think David Moyes has done wonders with this side. I think the lack of investment that we've had from the ownership, particularly over the past 2 seasons, and particularly since they've been here, let's be honest, has been appalling, and it's not helping him. I'm a bit frustrated in this window. I know we brought Lingard in. It is a little bit of squad depth, but we have lost Sebastian Haller and Robert Snodgrass. We do need a striker. Mikel Antonio, I feel will get enough goals in his game. I think he's shown he's a game winner as well. But we need a rotation option going forward because this West Ham side, this first team, is as good as it gets. But we can't afford to play them week in, week out. We have to pick the moments and we have to have different game plans. And you'd hope that if Moyes does get back going forward or he gets a little bit more time, that we'll start to see that. From a Liverpool point of view, I've heard there's a bit of rumblings with FSG and I'm not too sure what that's about. Obviously, I think it might have to do with the centre-back position. Do you think you sign someone in a centre-back role before the window closes?
Oh, mate, this is... No, I'm not. I want us to. I think it's criminal if we don't. But I'm somebody that I don't like the idea of a stick and plaster. I don't like the idea of bringing in somebody just as a body. And it goes against everything that Jurgen Klopp has always spoken about as well. He's somebody that likes to do things with the long term in mind. So unless we can get somebody in that Jurgen Klopp's happy with, I don't know, man. I've seen a few strange ones. I've seen, obviously, Size from Wolves was doing the rounds. That there's nothing to that from what I can gather. We've heard that guy from New York City, or New York Red Bulls, excuse me, their centre-back, because obviously they've no football till April, so he could be available. But how do you get him over? How do you get him through, COVID restrictions? And there's just so much stuff that it's difficult. And the owners are taking a huge risk if they don't back the manager. And look, Klopp doesn't ask for a lot. Believe it or not, he's not a manager that comes out here crying for players. He understands the restraints that he's working with, but they're taking a huge risk here. We're by no means guaranteed a top 4 spot. We've no God-given right to be there. We have to fight to get there, and it's an open season. if we don't sign a centre back, they could potentially be putting the Champions League run at risk and next season's qualification at risk, which will outweigh the cost of bringing in a centre back immensely.
Yeah, it's such a tricky thing, isn't it? Because then, you know, Klopp's got to manage that Champions League squad and that Premier League squad and try and get into the position. And to be fair, you have had an unlucky run with injuries. I mean, to lose Virgil van Dijk, Gomez, Fabinho, even fitting in at that centre-back role is hugely frustrating. And I actually do think that if Liverpool had those players fit, Henderson playing more regularly in that midfield, you wouldn't be in this position where you're not picking up points. Luckily enough for you, Craig, you did get the points today. You did get the points against Spurs. I wish you all the best for the rest of the season. Please make it an interesting title race if West Ham will keep looking up there. Thank you so much for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the West Ham Way if you're new. And until next time, take care.